Another tough loss for the Giants. They lost their seventh straight game on Thanksgiving Day. It was not a happy one for fans of Big Blue. They fall to the Dallas Cowboys 27-20. We're going to talk about some Giants football like we've been doing all football season. I'm going to talk to my friend Danielle McCartan. Joins me, the great host from WFAN, here with me now. Danielle, how you doing? How was your Thanksgiving? Happy Black Friday. I'm sure it was better than watching the Giants because they didn't get a win. I hope everything was good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I still got my stretchy pants on. The Giants didn't get embarrassed on national TV. Hey, we're looking good.
Yeah, we're looking good. The Giants could be looking better, but we'll see. Danielle, despite when you look at the game against Dallas, there were some moments for the Giants where you saw some, I could say, glimmers of hope. But do you look at it as the team is showing progress at all, or is it the same old issues that we're seeing with the Giants each and every week as now they've lost 7 in a row?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not seeing much progress from this team on a team-wide scale. I mean, for one thing, we've been talking about penalties almost the entire season with this team. I mean, just yesterday, they had 13 penalties for 98 yards. That's almost like allowing the opposing team to go right down the field. That gave them an extra possibly 7 points if you look at it that way. So the pre-snap penalties are the most preventable type of penalties, and those at this point in the season should just simply not be happening. And unfortunately for the Giants, they can't get it out of their own way. And number two, I mean, I look at the offensive line. That continues to be an abject disaster. The Giants offense just yesterday lost 47 yards on 6 sacks. Moving the ball still continues to be a struggle for this offense, especially on third down. Yesterday, they were just 3 for 12. I mean, I can keep going on and on, but no, this team as a whole hasn't shown much improvement on the same things that we continue to talk about each and every week. So that 7-game losing streak, while it's embarrassing, it kind of confirms everything we were just talking about.
Yeah, it really does, and it hasn't gotten better. I feel like we've been talking about it since it was a 3-game losing streak and a 4-game losing streak and a 5-game losing streak, and now it just continues to compound. But today on Friday, on Black Friday, Brian Daboll did speak to the media, and he did say that Dexter Lawrence, he is going to be done for this season. He had a dislocated elbow, and then Theo Johnson, who had been having some back issues, he also is done for the season. Now, when you have something like you have with Dexter Lawrence, you're probably thinking, okay, it wasn't looking good. It's long-term. Best to shut him down. Makes a ton of sense. Theo Johnson, a young player you've been seeing some things from throughout it. How disappointed is it, Danielle, that for you that you won't get to see both of these players down the stretch? And how much do you think this team will miss both of these players as they play out the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, season-ending injuries, those are just tough, especially with you look at the calendar, dates-wise, weeks-wise, there's so much of this season left. So, I really feel for those guys, Dexter Lawrence, Theo Johnson. And I mean, Dexter Lawrence, who would be, let's call him a fringe candidate for Defensive Player of the Year on some people's ballots. I mean, he's going to be missed a big way on that defensive line. And then Theo Johnson, he was bowling people over in yesterday's game. So another big loss, a big-bodied safety net type pass catcher for, any of the guys that will be throwing him the ball because, they're not franchise type quarterbacks. And also, most importantly, he's a big blocker. He picks up the slack created by that offensive line, which we talked about is not good. So that's probably the biggest blow to the offense in terms of Theo Johnson. So I also, by the way, want to hear what the exact diagnosis is on Tommy DeVito, because I'm fearful for him too. And I just think that, just when you think like things can't get worse on a losing team in a losing season, it always just finds a way to happen that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does. We'll find out more about Tommy DeVito. He had some evaluation. He said he hopes to be able to play for the Giants next game. We'll see about that and how that all plays out. But in this one, we talked about Dexter Lawrence. Danielle, the defense, they struggled again. A lot of missed tackles in this game. There was 8, I believe, in the first quarter. And for the third time in 4 games, the pass rush unable to get a sack. When you look at this defense, what specific areas do they need to improve, or you'd like to see an improvement on before this season ends?
Yeah, I just think, first of all, the talent on the Giants defense as a whole, especially at the second and third levels, to me, I would use the word mediocre. I mean, that's a problem, and that's indicative of the general manager. And you knew that was going to be an issue coming into the season. I know I did. I talked about it on the fan, but on the ground in a game-by-game basis, I know the sacks have fallen off in recent weeks, as you just detailed, but The Giants are still near, by the way, the top of the league in like number of sacks, quantity of sacks. So along those lines, I mean, I would like to see Brian Burns, the big offseason splash, or Kayvon Thibodeau, number 5 overall. I want to see them to start to make some impact plays on the field. I know a little too late. I get it, but I haven't seen those type of plays from these guys yet at all this season, really. How about a game-sealing sack one of these days, or a huge forced fumble that flips the field for the offense and leads to points? I mean, I haven't seen it from these guys, and I need to see over the next, 5 weeks of this season, I need to see more interceptions. I mean, you can't win games if you can't turn the ball over to your offense to try to put some points on the board. You also can't win games if your defense can't get off the field. And I'll also throw this in. Joe Shane let Xavier McKinney go. He's got 7 interceptions alone for the Packers. The Giants defense as a whole, 1.
Yep. And I believe they have won in the last 11 games. So not good, not a good number, all season long. I think they've gone, 10, 11 straight games without an interception. They haven't been turning the ball over at all, not getting sacked. So it hasn't been good. Last thing for me, Danielle, when you look at Giants co-owner John Mara, and he's vowed patience with this team, I think there's a way you can say, okay, I hear that. But as these losses continue to pile up, they're at 7 in a row. I think you're going to start to hear more, if they aren't able to stop the bleeding, more about the current jobs, and job security of head coach Brian Daboll and GM Joe Shane. So my question to you with this is, if they do continue to lose, can John Mara afford to continue to preach patience, or is there a point where he's going to have to say, okay, I really have to consider making changes? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just last week we were talking about the same exact thing. With every week there seems to be, more and more questions, and deservedly so. Like, this is what I plan to start my show off on tonight with on the Fan. Like, a 7-game losing streak, no real improvement noted, as we just outlined. I mean, at what point do you kind of look at this and say, well, wait a second, this might not be the direction I want to go in, and I know John Mara is a loyal guy. I know Saquon Barkley's crushing it, the optics of that, right? So, and Joe Shane let him go. It's a different situation. The offensive line in Philly is so much better. I get it. Xavier McKinney's crushing it. What are the optics on that? So, I mean, I'm starting to waver in my own loyalty to these two guys. And if you're John Mara, I know he's a loyal guy. He's got to start thinking that way too. So it's a preview for tonight's opening. Stay tuned.
All right, stay tuned to that, because Danielle will have more about that on WFAN. I feel like your dog, Pucatino, who's amazing, I feel like he's got some things to say about the Giants as well, too. There's Pucatino for everybody to see back there. He has a lot to say. If you want to hear more from Danielle, check her out on WFAN tonight about that. Danielle, I feel like one of these days we're going to talk about a Giants win. We have not done that in quite some time, but I hope that we are able to do that. I appreciate you joining me here to break it down. Thanks so much.
Yeah, he's just as angry as the rest of us. He sat through it on Thanksgiving as well. So, hoping for a better week one of these weeks. Maybe we could talk about a win. Maybe we'll see.
That would be nice. That's Danielle McCartan once again. Thanks, Danielle. Appreciate you.
You got it, Dexter.